The static came first. A sharp, piercing pulse that shattered the calm hum of nighttime electronics. Monitors across the globe flickered, glitched, then stilled. Then came the voice, unnatural, low, vibrating through bone, not air. A child screamed in a nearby apartment as the signal rose to a dense, garbled torrent of sound. In the control room beneath the Pentagon, Colonel Reeves dropped his coffee as every screen lit up in synchronicity. "They're already here," the voice growled again. No emotion, no accent, just intent. The world paused. Somewhere in Chicago, Leona Brooks, 36, systems analyst, mother of one, felt the air around her freeze. She stood motionless as the voice reverberated through her apartment like thunder trapped indoors. Then came the silence. An eerie, vast, suffocating silence. Streets filled. Phones died. The sky didn't fall, but every instinct screamed that it should have. She turned to her son, who stared at the screen and whispered, "Did you hear that?" She did. She felt it. And deep inside, something ancient and primal ignited, a warning, old as time. Earth hadn't found them. They had come looking. The transmission wasn't just a message. It was a declaration. "We see you. We know you. And we're here now." As the transmission faded, panic didn't erupt all at once. It sank in slowly, like poison spreading through blood. Leona stood silent for minutes, unable to tear her eyes away from the screen, now eerily blank. Then the city began to scream. Sirens shouting, newsfeeds scrambling to explain what no one understood. Government statements urged calm. But Leona wasn't listening. She grabbed her son, wrapped him in a blanket, and rushed to the window. Outside, something worse than fear gripped the street. Confusion. A paralysis of disbelief. A world trying to pretend it wasn't ending. Her neighbor muttered prayers, while a man nearby tried to call emergency services on a dead phone. "Mom?" her son whispered. "Are we going to be okay?" The question cut deeper than any noise. Because she didn't know. She wanted to lie, to say yes. But she couldn't force the words out. All she could do was hold him tighter as the world outside unraveled. And something far above watched silently, waiting for a response humanity was not ready to give. By the hour's end, silence had become unbearable. Then, the second pulse hit. This time, global, deliberate. Leona's ears rang as the frequency vibrated every object around her. All screens, TVs, phones, monitors, lit with a symbol, alien yet horrifyingly symmetrical. A deep hum, not just heard but felt in the chest, resonated with something primal. Humanity wasn't being greeted. It was being warned. Leona watched her son back away from the screen, face pale. "They're angry," he said. How did he know? She didn't ask. She couldn't. Her phone buzzed violently. An emergency alert from the Department of Homeland Security. Simple and stark. Shelter in place. Do not transmit. Await further instructions. No explanation. No details. Just silence and command. The second pulse marked a shift, from fear to inevitability. Leona realized, as the floor beneath her feet seemed to vibrate, that this wasn't the end of something. It was the opening note of a war Earth hadn't prepared for. Far above Earth, something shifted. Satellites captured brief flashes of unknown craft emerging from shadows. Massive, angular, unlike any propulsion design humans had seen. Governments argued in war rooms. Some denied. Others scrambled jets. The signal's source remained impossible to trace. Every time scientists triangulated, the origin had already moved. It was intelligent. Calculating. Predatory. Leona, meanwhile, turned inward. She remembered nightmares from her childhood, vague dreams of stars blinking wrong, of silence screaming in her ears. She thought they were fiction. They weren't. Her blood felt heavy now, like it knew something she didn't. The city's pulse slowed, like it held its breath. Humanity stood on a precipice not built of time, but trust. and trust was failing fast. Across the globe, eyes lifted skyward. The unknown was no longer distant. It was here. It was watching. In the final seconds of the first hour, the voice returned. Clearer now, colder. No distortion. Just 5 words, spoken in every language, across every speaker, device, and frequency. We've been waiting for you. The words echoed with ancient intent, as if spoken before time began. Leona dropped to her knees. Her son stared silently, unmoving. Around the globe, planes grounded, cities blacked out, power grids flickered. This wasn't an attack. It was preparation. The arrival of something long overdue. The end of the illusion of control. Leona whispered to herself. Not a prayer, but a plea. Please don't take him. Because something in her bones told her this had nothing to do with governments, armies, or science. It had everything to do with her. And whatever was coming wasn't random. It was personal. Morning light filtered through ash-colored clouds, casting a lifeless hue over the city. The silence from the sky was louder than the noise below. Leona paced her apartment, clutching a half-packed emergency bag, but where could she go? Nowhere felt untouched. Her son sat curled on the couch, eyes locked on the window as if waiting for a shape to appear in the sky. Leona's hands shook. She remembered the voice. We've been waiting for you. The words wouldn't leave her mind. They burrowed deeper than logic, past fear, down into her marrow. The apartment phone rang. Landline only. No one used it, except government. She hesitated, lifted the receiver, and a scrambled, robotic voice said, "Remain where you are. Further instruction pending. Priority, Leona Brooks." Her heart stopped. They knew her name. Not a broadcast. A message. Direct. Intentional. The line cut. She stared into nothingness, jaw clenched. Her past wasn't just knocking, it had kicked the door open. "Why me?" she whispered, but deep down, something inside her already knew. In a hidden underground briefing chamber beneath O'Hare Airport, General Ortega addressed a select few civilians flagged as event relevant. Leona sat among strangers, all equally pale, all watching security footage of alien signals reacting to genetic scans. Her hands gripped the chair as Ortega said, "We're not dealing with first contact. We're dealing with a return." Shock, doubt, confusion, and fear. He continued, "You were all chosen, not randomly, biologically." Leona's breath caught. A chart on the screen lit with DNA markers. She saw her name. Not just hers, her son's too. Her family tree was displayed like evidence. "Why us?" someone asked. Ortega's eyes didn't blink. "Because they've known you longer than we have." Every word felt like a needle to her spine. Her body betrayed her. The aliens didn't choose Earth. They chose bloodlines. Old ones. "This isn't just invasion," Ortega finished. "It's extraction." And in that moment, Leona understood she wasn't running from something. Something was coming to collect. Back in her apartment, Leona tore through drawers, digging for anything her parents might have left behind. Her mother had died mysteriously when she was 13. Her father disappeared when she was 18, declared dead, but never found. She unearthed an old lockbox wrapped in cloth, buried behind photo albums. Inside, letters, faded photos, and a key, etched with symbols that didn't look human. She blinked. One letter addressed to her, written long before she was born. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. "If you're reading this, they found you too." Her father's handwriting. He warned of watchers, of things hidden beneath everyday life, of codes buried in genetics, of responsibilities passed down like disease. "You were born not to run, but to answer," he wrote. Tears stung her eyes. Her son walked in, saw the key, and whispered, "That was in my dream." Her mind snapped to full alert. The key wasn't just a relic. It was an invitation. Or a test, or a weapon. That night, sleep eluded Leona. Her son slept soundly, but she stared at the ceiling, listening. The air had weight, like being watched. At 3:12 a.m., her phone vibrated with a hidden message, just coordinates, no sender. She followed the map to a warehouse on the city's edge. There, cloaked in darkness, a woman waited. Older, mixed race, military posture, eyes sharp as razors. "You're late," the woman said. "Late for what?" Leona asked. "For remembering," she replied, holding out her hand. Her name was Ava, Leona's aunt, presumed dead 30 years. She spoke of an ancient agreement, sealed in blood and silence. "Your family wasn't ignorant," Ava said. "They were guardians." The revelation was too much. Leona staggered back. Ava gripped her arm. "They're not here to kill you. They're here to use you." The key in Leona's pocket burned cold. The door behind them creaked. Ava whispered, "They found us. You need to choose, run or awaken." Leona didn't sleep after that. She drove back through an eerily quiet city, her son asleep in the back seat. Everything had shifted. She wasn't a victim of circumstance, she was a target of legacy. By sunrise, military blockades had sprung up. Drone patrols swept rooftops. Something was happening fast. But it wasn't the government she feared anymore. It was what the government feared. And somehow, that fear pointed to her. In the rearview mirror, her son stirred. "You saw her, didn't you?" he asked sleepily. "The woman in the dark." Leona nodded, heart pounding. He'd never met Ava. But he knew. Somehow, he always knew. She said, "I have to choose," he mumbled. Leona's hands tightened on the wheel. "I know," she whispered. The city behind them wasn't safe anymore. But neither was anywhere else. For the first time, she understood what they were running from, and toward. The past was no longer behind them. It was in the passenger seat. Leona entered the safe house. Ava led her to a subterranean structure hidden beneath an abandoned freight terminal. The walls were lined with analog maps, encrypted screens, and weathered folders marked Project Origin. Ava motioned her forward, ignoring the armed guards flanking the corridors. Inside the command room, files were unsealed, documents on global manipulations, political coups, and corporate empires, all linked to a covert coalition working with the aliens since the 1970s. "The invasion was never a surprise," Ava said. "It was scheduled." Leona's breath caught as she saw her father's name listed as an early operative, then listed again as a defector. "He tried to stop them," Ava said, "but he vanished before he could tell you the truth." Everything unraveled. The war hadn't begun. It had been waged in silence for decades. Leona was never just a survivor. She was bred into a resistance hidden beneath history. And now, the truth was hunting her from both sides, human and otherwise. That night, Leona studied the files, searching for clues about her father's disappearance. One file marked Sleeper Protocol chilled her to the bone. It documented a procedure, humans implanted with alien consciousness, waiting activation. "You mean, possessed?" she asked. Ava replied, "Engineered." Leona's stomach turned. The enemy wasn't just above. It was already here, inside people. Then came a knock at the safe house door. It was Darius, Ava's old contact and Leona's former partner, a man she hadn't seen in 6 years. He looked thinner, eyes sunken, demeanor off. But he smiled. "You're hard to find," he said. Something felt wrong. When he touched her arm, a pulse of cold ran through her. Ava's hand went to her sidearm. Darius noticed. "Still paranoid," he sneered. "Still breathing," Ava replied. The tension thickened. Leona stepped back. The idea of trust was slipping. If sleeper agents were real, how many of them were already close? Darius claimed he'd escaped from a sleeper testing facility in Nevada, but his story had cracks. Ava demanded answers, pressing him about specific names and protocols. Leona watched his responses carefully, too smooth, too rehearsed. She asked one question only he would know. What did you say the night I lost the baby? He paused. Too long. I said, we'd survive it. Wrong. He hadn't said anything. He left. Ava didn't wait. In a flash she drew her weapon, but Darius moved faster than any human should. His eyes darkened, veins glowing faintly. Ava fired. The bullet hit, but he didn't fall, he roared inhuman. Leona pulled her son from a nearby room as the hallway erupted in chaos. Darius turned to her, voice warped. You are the key. Then fled into the tunnels. Leona collapsed against the wall, breath shaking. Betrayal didn't come from strangers. It came from the ones you once loved. With the safe house compromised, they fled into the metro tunnels. Leona carried her son, while Ava led the way through steam-filled corridors beneath Chicago. Explosions echoed above. Military containment, Ava guessed. The world was spiraling. But deep underground, away from satellites and signal, they found a bunker long abandoned. Inside, graffiti lined the walls, symbols that matched the alien runes. Leona touched them and felt warmth pulse beneath her fingers. It reacts to you, Ava whispered. In the center of the room stood a dormant device, metallic, pulsing faintly, like it was breathing. Ava said, Your father died protecting this. It's not a weapon, it's a memory vault. A hologram flickered to life. Leona's father, younger than she remembered, looked directly at her and said, If you're seeing this, you've been activated. The truth wasn't being discovered. It was being remembered. The hologram detailed everything. Humanity was never alone. Earth had been a genetic farm, watched, guided, and manipulated. Some families were seeded with memory cores, genetic data capable of awakening when triggered. Leona's family was one. Her father explained they were meant to be sentinels, not soldiers. The war wasn't between species. It was between ideologies. One alien faction believed in coexistence, the other in dominion. And now, Earth stood in the crossfire. Leona stared at the device. What does it want from me? Her son stepped forward, hand glowing faintly. Not want, he said. Need. Ava's face turned pale. It's choosing him. The room vibrated as the device activated fully, projecting coordinates and symbols. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. Leona stepped forward. The vault had opened. The truth could no longer be hidden. Now it had to be lived and defended. The symbols projected from the memory vault continued to shift, coordinates, data streams, and what looked like timelines of events yet to happen. Ava snapped photos, while Leona stood still, paralyzed by the revelation. Her son's palm still glowed faintly, like the device had rewritten him somehow. These aren't messages, Ava muttered. They're orders. Leona turned toward the hologram of her father, still active, looping final instructions. One of you will carry the code forward, he said. But be warned, humanity will not thank you for it. Leona's hands trembled. Was this protection or manipulation? The realization cut deep. Everything, the invasion, the sleepers, the vault, wasn't just alien intervention. It was human orchestration. Ava confirmed what Leona feared. The government used alien tech to rewrite Earth's timeline. Our wars, discoveries, even pandemics, triggered to study our reactions. Her world cracked open again. They weren't just the victims of an outside force. They were participants in their own enslavement. Your bloodline didn't start this, Ava said. But it may have to end it. They surfaced from the tunnels near a forest edge, miles outside the city. The morning sky bled red. Military drones buzzed overhead, scanning for non-compliant signals. Ava led them through thick undergrowth to an old research outpost, a decommissioned facility once known for weather experiments, now repurposed by the hidden resistance. Inside, a ragtag group of survivors, scientists, and defected soldiers gathered. One woman, Dr. Maria Cheng, approached Leona. You're the one, she said, voice steady. The core carrier. The others murmured. Ava motioned them silent. Maria revealed a map, showing alien ship landings not as attacks, but as exchanges. This was never a war. It was a negotiation, she said. Governments had been trading Earth's biological markers for technology. Leona's stomach turned. It wasn't just betrayal. It was sale. They hadn't lost control of the planet. They'd sold it. Her lineage, her son, had become currency in a galactic deal made in shadows. Within the facility's lower levels, Maria revealed another truth. Earth was not the only planet being farmed. The aliens had seeded life across multiple worlds, experimenting with genetic resilience. But Earth had produced something unique, a hybrid code. Your blood, Maria said, examining Leona's son, isn't just rare, it's singular. The child looked calm, almost distant. He stared into the glowing monitor, as if the data spoke to him. Ava pulled Leona aside. If they want him, it's not to destroy him. It's to activate him. Leona recoiled. Activate? Ava nodded. He's the interface, a living bridge. The child, born of legacy, dream, and pain, was not an accident. He was engineered, across generations. The horror wasn't just in the aliens' actions, it was in humanity's agreement. Her father had fought to break the cycle. Now it fell to her. He's not a weapon, Leona said. He's my son. But even she couldn't deny it. He was more than that now. That evening, Maria called an emergency meeting. One of the alien ships had changed trajectory, now headed directly toward their location. Ava checked comms. Radio silence. No backup. They're coming to retrieve the asset, Maria said. Leona stepped forward. He's not an asset. But the air shifted. Her son stood in the doorway, eyes glowing faintly again. They're afraid of what I might become, he whispered. No child's voice. Something deeper. Older. Leona rushed to him, but he didn't flinch. Ava raised her weapon instinctively. Maria shouted, "No!" The child blinked, and the glow vanished. He collapsed into Leona's arms. But it wasn't over. He had been linked, temporarily accessed. The vault had been a beacon. Now both sides, human and alien, were converging. And Earth's fate was no longer in government hands. It lay with a boy who may no longer be fully human. The sky over the forest split as the ship descended, silent, colossal, cloaked in shifting clouds. No weapons fired. It hovered, waiting. Inside the outpost, panic surged. Ava began prepping explosives. Maria downloaded data to a hard drive. Leona, holding her son, stood still. What if this isn't an attack? She asked. What if it's a message? Her son stirred. They want me to choose, he said. Not them. Us. Ava glared. You don't negotiate with extinction. But Leona stepped outside, son in her arms. The ship emitted no sound, but the air vibrated. Leona stared at it, not with fear, but defiance. You won't take him, she said. The ship pulsed in response. A second later, dozens of beams shot into the sky, not toward them, but away, as if relaying information. Leona realized this wasn't their moment to die. It was their moment to decide. And she had just made the first move. The ship remained motionless in the sky. Minutes passed. Then hours. Tensions at the outpost rose like floodwaters. Communication lines were dead. All digital systems locked. It was as if the ship had jammed time itself. Maria analyzed the beam patterns. It wasn't surveillance. It was calibration. The ship was sensing with something, or someone. Leona sat in silence, her son sleeping in her arms. Ava approached, voice low. They won't attack until they're sure he's aligned, she said. That gives us time to prepare. Leona looked up. Prepare for what? To run? To fight? Ava didn't answer. Instead, she unzipped a pouch and handed over a sleek object, a pulse rifle, upgraded with alien tech. We make a stand, Ava said. Leona stared at the weapon. It felt wrong in her hands, but it also felt necessary. The line between protector and soldier blurred. The war wasn't coming. It had arrived, and it had chosen her doorstep. Before sunrise, Maria briefed the group. If the ship initiated a full sink, Earth's skies would open. The alien fleet was waiting beyond the atmosphere, cloaked but linked. This vessel is the anchor, she said. If we sever it, we might break the chain. Ava disagreed. If we sever it, they retaliate globally. Leona stepped forward. So, what do we do? Let them take him. The room went silent. Then her son spoke. You don't have to decide. Everyone turned. He stood tall, expression calm, voice steady beyond his years. I can hear them. They're not one voice. They're many. Some want peace. Others want control. Ava looked to Leona. He's already interfacing. Maria whispered, if he can hear them, maybe he can delay them. It was no longer about resistance. It was about leverage. Leona finally saw the battlefield clearly. The weapon wasn't steel or energy. It was choice. Her son had become their only negotiation tool. Time was thinning. Maria made her choice. Initiate a signal disruption using the memory vault's pulse signature. Ava armed the team. Leona stayed with her son, watching his eyes flicker with unknown data. He whispered words in no human tongue. They're listening, he said. And one of them is afraid of me. That night, Leona took him outside. Beneath the looming ship, the forest trembled in silence. He raised his hand, and from above, the ship's surface shifted, like it bowed in recognition. Then the whispers stopped. He looked to his mother. There's one voice that protects me. Leona asked. Who? He touched her chest. Yours. A light beam shot from the ship, not at them, but into the trees. Seconds later, screams. Ava's voice roared on comms. Breach on perimeter. The aliens hadn't sent warriors. They'd activated their human agents. Sleepers. Leona clutched her son's hand and ran. The forest lit with red streaks. The reckoning had begun. The forest exploded in chaos. Sleeper agents surged from every shadow. Men and women with blank eyes and voices like static. Ava and her team opened fire. Pulse rounds lit the woods like a lightning storm. Leona, clutching her son, ducked behind debris as Maria screamed over comms. They're not all human anymore. Some twisted mid-combat, morphing with unnatural speed. Leona fired for the first time. It wasn't training. It was instinct. One agent collapsed. Another kept coming. Ava dragged Leona into a ravine. We need to end the sync, now. Maria confirmed the vault could still send a counterpulse. Leona stared at her son. He nodded slowly. I can do it, but I won't come back the same. Silence. Then Leona spoke. Do it. The forest echoed with violence and decision. This was the price of legacy. Not honor. Sacrifice. The pulse would either break the connection or shatter them both. The vault pulsed once, then again. The air split with a deafening vibration. Lights across the sky dimmed. The alien ship staggered, its form rippling like a hologram losing coherence. Sleepers screamed and fell limp. The connection had been severed. Leona ran to her son, who lay still on the ground. His eyes were closed, body cold. She screamed his name. Then he gasped, sharp, sudden. His eyes opened. Different. Older. The glow gone. Just human again. Ava limped over, nodding. He did it. Maria said, the signal was blocked but not destroyed. They'll return. But now we're seen as a threat, not a herd. The ship above began to retreat, folding into itself, vanishing into sky. Leona hugged her son tightly. You came back, she whispered. He looked at her with tears. Because you held on. The reckoning wasn't a battle won. It was the first strike of something far greater. But for now, They had survived. The retreat of the mothership hadn't brought peace. It brought silence. A loaded, waiting silence. The skies above Earth were still, but satellites reported movement beyond the exosphere. The fleet hadn't fled. It had repositioned. Maria decrypted fragments of the alien transmission. The code was a vote. An interstellar tribunal. Earth was on trial. They're not just a species, she said. They're a council. A judgment system. Ava nodded grimly. They're deciding whether we're salvageable or expendable. Leona sat with her son near the fire. He hadn't spoken much since severing the link, but his pulse was steady now, human again. What happens if we fail their test? He asked. No one answered. The resistance faction sent fragmented messages. Most governments had fractured. The UN was gone. Defense networks offline. Earth was alone. Ava stood before a rusted satellite uplink, holding a transmitter. Then we show them what Earth really is, she said. A place that defends its own. They climbed into the uplink bunker, a relic from a Cold War, long since erased from public knowledge. Maria prepped the last relay, hoping to hijack a global broadcast system buried beneath civilian infrastructure. They built the tools to control us, she said. Now we'll use them to wake the rest. The plan: show the truth. The memory vault footage. The betrayal. The hybrid program. Leona stood before the camera. Her voice shook, but her eyes didn't. My name is Leona Brooks, she began. And everything you believe about Earth is a lie. She spoke of lineage, of the vault, of the judgment still looming. She didn't beg. She declared. The feed went live, briefly, then scrambled. The alien fleet had seen it, heard it. Maria whispered. They know we won't go quietly. Moments later, every system on the uplink fried. Lights burst. Smoke poured from the ceiling. Ava pulled Leona out as sparks rained down. The final message had been sent. Skyfall began without warning. The clouds above twisted into a spiral, and from the center, 5 smaller vessels emerged. Sleek, obsidian, insect-like in motion. They hovered above major cities: New York, Cairo, Tokyo, Rio, Lagos. Each carried a beacon. Not weapons. Signals. Gnarl. Ava radioed a resistance contact. Static. Then one word: judgment. Maria translated the beacon's code in real time. It's not an attack, she whispered. It's a decision. The council had ruled. Earth would stand, but only if it surrendered all hybrid DNA. That included Leona's son. The offer was clear. Compliance brought survival. Refusal meant extinction. Ava paced, enraged. They expect us to hand over a child? Leona gripped her son's shoulders. We don't give them anything. Maria added, we may only get one shot. A strike was possible, but only if they reached the relay satellite in orbit. Someone would have to launch. Someone wouldn't come back. The launch pad had been forgotten by history, buried in a Midwest forest, built for secret military flights. Now, powered by scavenged fusion tech and alien scrap, it roared to life. Maria suited up. She had chosen to go. If I can get into low orbit, I can detonate the burst array manually, she said. Ava disagreed. Let me do it. Maria shook her head. You're the fighter, I'm the architect. Leona stood beside her, heart breaking. Make them hear us, she said. Her son hugged Maria. Tell them we're not just numbers. Maria smiled through the helmet visor. Tell them yourself, someday. The engines ignited. Dust and light exploded into the forest canopy. The launch wasn't graceful, it was desperate. But it flew. As the shuttle pierced the sky, Leona whispered, now or never. A beacon pulsed from the ship. It wasn't an attack. It was a declaration. One human bearing Earth's truth, racing toward judgment. Maria's voice came through comms, calm and unwavering. Crossing threshold. Her shuttle broke the mesosphere, tracked by dozens of cloaked alien ships. She activated the burst array, a combination of Earth's quantum tech and alien frequency. "It's broadcasting memory," she said. "The truth encoded. The Council would see everything. The vault, the betrayal, the boy." Leona watched the skies from Earth. Then, silence. No explosion. No reply. Just one blinking signal on the monitor. Transmission acknowledged. Then the alien ships turned. Not to attack, but to leave. One by one, vanishing into dimensional corridors. The Council had made its final ruling. Earth would remain. The vault would remain. The child would remain. Leona sank to her knees, tears falling silently. Ava lowered her weapon. For once, there was no enemy in sight. Just the aftermath of a war fought in silence. Maria was gone, but her voice echoed, "Let them remember us as more than data. Let them remember us as people." The world woke slowly. In cities that had prepared for annihilation, only silence arrived. Skies cleared. No beams. No bombs. Just stillness. Leona and her son stood on a hill outside the forest, watching as the last orbital signatures vanished. Military channels buzzed with confusion. No orders, no retaliation, no recovery plans. Governments were leaderless. Power grids sparked back to life. But it wasn't victory, it was pause. The truth had been broadcast, received, and judged. Earth had been given time, not peace. Leona's son turned to her. "What now?" She didn't have an answer. Ava approached with new intelligence. "The vaults, there are more," she said. "Other sites around the world activating one by one." Maria's sacrifice had ignited a chain reaction. The memory wasn't contained. It was spreading. Leona realized this wasn't the end of the war. It was the beginning of awareness. Humanity had to face its reflection and choose what it would become next. At a newly activated site beneath the ruins of an ancient city, Leona walked among symbols identical to those she saw in the first vault. Scholars and resistance members worked side by side decoding them. Some sites glowed. Others pulsed warnings. The alien presence hadn't left. It had merely observed. Each vault was a memory, a history of galactic cycles, collapses, and rebirths. Leona's son wandered ahead. His hand brushed one of the glyphs, and the wall responded. A pulse of light surged outward, lighting pathways long dormant. "He's still connected," Ava muttered. The team gathered around. A hologram appeared, different this time. Not Leona's father. Not a human. An alien figure, regal and ancient, addressed them in tones deeper than language. No threat. No order. Just a question. "Are you ready to evolve?" The room froze. The message was no longer just a warning. It was an invitation. One Earth had never expected, but could no longer refuse. The alien figure spoke again, its voice resonating through stone and skin alike. The test was not for survival. It was for sovereignty. Maria's data confirmed it. Earth was a disputed node in a galactic network. Its future would be chosen not by alien weapons, but human response. The Council had allowed the memory vaults to awaken because of what Leona's son did. He chose compassion over power. Not domination, but defense. "You have been noticed," the figure said. "And so have those who watch you still." Leona felt the weight of that phrase. It wasn't over. It had simply widened. Earth was no longer isolated. It was observed. Her son approached her and took her hand. "They left us a choice." Ava stepped forward. "Then, we better be ready to answer." Leona nodded. Her family had once been hunted by a secret. Now it stood for something larger than survival. Legacy had become a mission. Weeks passed. The world reshaped itself quietly. No headlines. No leaders. Just survival and whispers. Leona traveled from site to site, helping unlock vaults with her son at her side. Resistance turned into organization. The truth was no longer hidden. It was archived, taught, feared. Some rejected it. Others bowed to it. But a growing few embraced it. Ava formed a global network of sentinels, defenders of the new Earth. "We may never fire another shot," she said. "But we damn sure won't be caught sleeping again." Leona knew it wasn't just alien fear that had controlled humanity. It was human ignorance. Now, with knowledge came responsibility. Her son no longer saw nightmares. He saw stars. And Leona saw purpose. "We're not running anymore," she told him. "We're building." Beneath her voice was something stronger than resolve. It was faith, in change, in survival, and in what her bloodline had always meant to be. A light in the dark. The stars blinked quietly above as Leona stood alone on the edge of a cliff, the wind sweeping her coat like a banner. She looked skyward, remembering Maria's voice, her father's warning, and her son's courage. "The truth has a price," she whispered. But for the first time, it didn't feel like a burden. It felt like a beginning. Her son slept in a tent nearby, finally at peace. Ava transmitted global updates, new awakenings, new threats, new possibilities. The final message from the council had arrived only hours before. It wasn't a command. It was coordinates. Another planet. Another vault. Another piece of the puzzle. Leona turned from the edge, walking into the dark with a slow, steady stride. The world was broken. But it was also aware. As she disappeared into the forest, her words lingered. "This isn't over. It's just the beginning." The stars above flickered, and somewhere far beyond, something stirred.